Welcome into Sports Idiot Nation. Today we have a lot to get to as something in college football has happened that has not happened since 2007. Also in the NFL, we'll figure out why there's only one team left that's undefeated. And baseball, we have Dodgers, Yankees. Who's going to win? You'll find out from us. Also, we're so excited to not have the WNBA anymore.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots.
Central Florida dropped the ball in more than one way. Find out soon.
This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots. Welcome, sinners. This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Welcome in, sinners. We are excited for another episode of Sports Idiot Nation, the weekly recap show that highlights what's happened last week and tells you what's about to happen this coming week. As always, joined by Miles Behind Enemy Lines and Mr. T.I., Mr. 30,000. I am Adam Marino.
Not anymore. Not anymore, Mr. 31,000.
baby.
Mr.
Flavors.
Your place to be.
Mr.
Yes.
31,000.
So technically,
humble brag there. Humble brag.
You know, technically, when you have 31,000, do you know what also you still have?
You have 30, but we
I'm just saying.
live in a world.
But let's be efficient here.
31.
So 31
Mr.
flavors.
31K. It doesn't flow as nice as Mr. 30K. 31K is like, wow, but it's got to be.
So you are officially
Mr.
Mr. 31,000 followers on Facebook. Follow at Titans Idiot Nation. Yes, very cool to see. Congratulations, of course. You have something good going on in your life, as
Unlike
a
my
lot of
football
other
teams.
things. Yeah, we'll get into a lot of other things are not going as well. So let's talk what's not going well for the University of Texas. And we have to start there because no one gave Georgia as their old ball coach informed the whole country. No one gave him a chance. Not from the network. He gave it to us. Kirby, he was not excited.
I don't know if I can get behind that. I thought he looked kind of petty. Don't get me wrong. I'm a champion for being petty. I think that's
You love it.
I love being petty. There's a time and a place for it, and there's a strategic way to do it. I thought his way. I was fine with him, kind of just talking the talk. But when he was like, and they tried to screw us on the calls and all that, and I was just like, bro, look, you won the game. They called a bad call, like they shouldn't have overturned it because that was crazy. But they overturned it because they realized how terrible of a call it was. So I was just like, let that slide, bro. You won the game. If you lost the game, by all means, have your soapbox. Have your soapbox.
Cause havoc.
Just move on, Kirby. Like,
Start
I don't
know.
I kind of like, of course, being an Auburn fan, I'm not, I don't care too much about Kirby. Like, he hasn't really rubbed me the wrong way. Like, Georgia-Auburn is a historic rivalry. Georgia has waxed us for many years, so kind of lost the competition there, But I was just kind of like, he kind of took a step down in my book from the way he kind of reacted on that post-game interview. Just personal opinion. Georgia fans probably loved it. I was just like, I don't know, man. Makes you look kind of pitiful,
It was weird to have the crowd throw everything on the field, and then like the refs kind of like look at each other like, well, we better reverse the call. Like, what is that? And then in the group chat, we're all talking that a couple nights ago, and we're like, do they have to apologize now? Because that was all for not, like, it's just awkward now.
Yeah. Every one of you get down the field and pick up the bottle you threw, or your beer or whatever.
And say sorry, because we got the call right. So
those are expensive, man. Those are expensive stuff they're throwing too,
So funny.
But
I've never seen that. Even the commentators were like bewildered.
Right.
I think what happened is that somebody wrote on a letter and put it in the bottle and threw it down there. And one of the refs opened it up and was like, "Oh, I think we got the call wrong," and that's what the whole thing changed. It's a message in a bottle.
They're sending out an SOS.
Yeah,
Yeah, because when the refs convened, the commentators are like, surely they're talking about what to do about the bottles. They can't actually be talking about overturning this call, are they? And Herb's just like, I think they are. And then
Yeah.
obviously that happened, and it's like, oh my God. And then to see Kirby just lose his mind
Yeah.
was all I needed. Like, Georgia, you're still going to win this game, but that was worth it to me. It wasn't the only thing that was worth my day on Saturday. I had a great day Saturday, but that was the capper right there. That was the cherry on top of my day, was seeing Kirby just go off.
So
we know you had a great day, but did you go on some trips to Bed Bath & Beyond and Home Depot, or was there something more exciting that you did on your your day that you
Home
enjoyed?
Depot is the enemy to me. But in any case, yeah, do we want to go ahead and get into my lovely Saturday?
So we will get into IU, and I feel like we need an entire
Miles
10-minute segment
He's clamoring
on IU, because I also want to give them some flowers.
Yeah,
I truly will.
My team's garbage.
But
I'm on board. I'm on the bandwagon.
Right.
My team's garbage.
but hold on. I want to ask you guys what you really thought I still want to stay on Texas for a second, because in the end of the first half, what in the world is Manning doing? Like, when he said, like, well, I had to make sure I just settle him down. Who has ever felt settled when they're benched? Like, that's the opposite. Like, that's not calming. You could have called a timeout, walked him up the sideline a little bit, put your arm around him, hit him on the helmet, and say, hey, breathe. Okay, this moment is not too big for you. You are bigger than this. You got this. I'm going to get with the linemen. I know that they are not doing their job right now, but this isn't on you. You're better than this. Now get in there, kid, and slap him on the butt, and let's go. Not take him out, like, as if to say, don't worry. If you go back in, Georgia's defensive line won't be as tough. I've said something to them. Don't worry. No, they're still going to keep coming. Like, what does taking him out do? I just don't understand. The only thing that could have happened that would have been worse is that Manning threw a couple touchdowns or something. And now, like, like, the legend of Manning, like, starts right here, because now he's not going back in. I just didn't understand why you would do that.
Well,
my thing is,
reality is, because he knew Manning wasn't the answer. It wasn't to settle him down by benching him. It was, we need to get him the hell out of here, and we got to put Ewers back in, because neither of them were going to get it done. But you got to dance with the one you brought, because Arch, he ain't ready for the big time yet. So plain and simple, they had to put Quinn back in to have a chance, and they did.
Well, why
they
take him
back
out?
a little bit.
Why take him out?
Why take Ewers out? Because he thought wrongly that Manning would provide a spark, and he's not ready. He's not ready, but he had to learn it the hard way. So he had to double back, and he's like, well, I just did it to settle him down. No, he's lying. That's what it comes down. He is lying.
Okay, fair.
And he realized he made a mistake. I should have never put Manning in the first place.
Yeah.
And he had to put Quinn back in to give them a hope and a prayer. And they fought for a little, but Georgia was the better team on Saturday. There's no question about it. Doesn't matter who they put in at quarterback.
Yeah, my thing is, you guys may feel differently because you also coached basketball, but I feel like once you make a polarizing move like that, unless you want the entire media to clown on you, you got to stick with it. You've made that decision to bench your starter, and now you're going to pull your starter back in. And like Miles said, hey, I mean, it looked like they were going to try to tighten it up, and then Georgia did Georgia things like they always do. And but yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like anytime you make a judgment call like that, it serves you better as a coach to stick with your gut. And hey, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But now he looks like a wishy-washy fool,
Yeah.
And here we are
Completely not work
questioning.
out.
And here we are questioning him, And I mean, I've never been a huge fan of Sarkisian or whatever, but I mean, he's a decent coach. I mean, I think he's fine. I mean, but I question that. I was like, man, you've already made the decision. You just got to stick with Manning. That's another thing.
And
too.
that was his mistake.
Why do we just?
He never
No.
should have pulled him
And-
out of that.
and why do we
he's one of the top
assume-
quarterbacks in the country. Stick with him.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Ridiculous.
Why do we just assume as a whole, because Arch has the last name Manning, that he is the second coming of Eli and Peyton combined? Like I just don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of like, I know the Texans fans want to see him, or excuse me, Texas fans want to see him, but like Miles said, you got to stick with the guy who got you there. Stick with the guy who took you to the dance. Don't leave with the cool guy who showed up to the prom late, without a date, and like, it's just kind of silly for me, But I mean, I don't know. Like, I think Arch Manning looks good when he's in there, but he's got that little happy feet that the Manning's got. You see his feet, just like Peyton, just like Eli, get that happy feet going, and you see mistakes coming. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know much about the kid outside of what we've seen. The limited game. I mean, we've seen his high school highlights and stuff, but I need to see more before I'm anointing him as the second coming of what all NFL teams want to crash and burn for the number one pick, in a few years.
It'd be different if this was like Michigan or with their situation, but like you already have someone that's known as top 3 quarterback in the country. So it's not like, it'd be different if the quarterback was already like struggling and maybe in the top 30, not the top 3. It's so weird that he did. I could not believe it. I think I texted you guys like, Manning's in, what is happening? Like, just so crazy. I could not believe it. Which, again, be sure to follow Sports Idiot Nation wherever you get your social media, because I was at the bar, and I don't know the TV system sometimes, but they had Bob Ross on right next to the game. And so if you follow, you'll see a reel that I posted. And it's priorities, like happy mistakes.
Sometimes when you're, drinking beer at the bar, you just need some happy little trees to put you in a good mood, Happy little trees.
It's all good, man.
Paint some happy little trees over here.
It was a happy time. And speaking of happy time, I know, let's get into it now for Miles, because this is we'll call this the Miles segment. It's all about Miles, because it is well documented that Miles worked for the football team at the University of Indiana. And
no. Indiana University. Don't you dare call it the University of Indiana. You blasphemer.
Oh, God. Okay.
How dare you? This podcast is over. Over.
Shut it down.
Miles is done. Miles has had it.
It's well documented in episode 7, I believe, with Adriana, which is our most watched episode. So if you want to see an episode so that you can feel like you're not missing anything, be one of the about 14,000 people that have seen episode 7. And Miles talks about that jokingly at that point, because we didn't know how the season was going to go. He jokingly said, yes, IU does have a football team. And that's not funny anymore. Like, no, that's not a joke.
He mentioned the GoFundMe.
No. As
someone
Gus
funded
Johnson,
them.
Someone GoFunded them in an offense.
Yep. Sure.
Well, and a defense.
Gus Johnson said after that pick, when they were up 3 scores, ladies and gentlemen, America, Indiana has a football team. So he must have listened to episode 7. He was really shouting out to us that
I knew that Miles was at the game as it was homecoming, and so I'm feeding him a bunch of stats because I'm watching live. And at one point in the game, in midway through the third quarter or so, the time of possession was so hilariously situated. It was that IU had more than double the points of how long they possessed the ball for per minute. So for every minute that IU had the football, they scored more than 2 points per minute, because it was like 42 points at this point, which they weren't done scoring at that point. We all know they scored way more than 42 points, but they had 42 points in the third quarter, and they only possessed the ball for 19 minutes. It made no sense.
Yeah, and to break that down even more, in the third quarter, the entire third quarter, IU had the ball for 2 minutes. We outscored Nebraska 14-0 in the third quarter. Had the ball for 2 minutes.
That's pathetic. So who's left? Ohio State. You guys still got Michigan? Who you still got? Who's Indiana still got?
They'll beat Michigan. They will beat Michigan.
I think so.
This coming week, we have College Game Day. Let me answer your damn question.
Yeah.
This coming week, we have College Game Day come into Bloomington after having Big Noon kickoff this past weekend, which I got to see in person, which was phenomenal. It was like no other IU game I've ever seen. I'll talk about that here in a second.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Washington with our backup quarterback, but I know Taven's going to ball out. He's still a 4-star. He kicked ass in the second half.
That injury, is that bad?
He's out at least this week. And I'll get into that. So, the week after trap game at Michigan State, Sparty's starting to play better football. They hammered Iowa this last week. Their kicker, they have a good kicker. Your Niners should look at Michigan State's kicker. He actually is the scariest player on that team because they can put up points once they cross midfield. And then it's Michigan, then at Ohio State, and then they wrap up with the gimme against Purdue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to go ahead and get into this. Something like that. If they can drop 56 on Nebraska's head, they'll score 490 on Purdue.
Infinity.
Not according to Will Compton.
Yeah, well, he's an idiot. Our, our dishonorable mention, idiot of the week, Nebraska alum Will Compton, who said Nebraska's defense was a brick wall and IU had no hope against them. 8 touchdowns later. 9 touchdowns, so he just scored again.
That's a Kool-Aid man brick wall.
I just got a notification. They scored again.
The Kool-Aid man plays for Indiana.
So I want to go ahead and talk about the day. So my buddy Tom Astrike, who is a frequent listener of the Sincast. So what's up, Tom? Thanks for letting me come to the game with you and your beloved bride, Amy. So we get there, and right next to his vehicle, because we carpooled after I parked around town, and there's this giant smoke-filled cigarette right next to the car. And this statue's like 10 feet tall, and my buddy Tom was like, "Does that light up?" And they're like, "Sure does." So they put on the animatron thing, and smoke starts billowing out of the top of the SIG. It was awesome. So obviously an ode to Signetti, who I think will end up getting his own statue outside of IU Memorial Stadium here in probably 5 years while he's still coaching.
Yeah, if John Cougar can get his statue.
Well, yeah, John Cougar has his own practice facility there. So, but he's got the statue.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I did not see it when I was there this last week, but SIG's going up right there, and probably like a Roman emperor. We came, we saw, we conquered, or kicked ass, and then underneath that, it'll say "Google me."
Google him.
Yeah. So, one of the first comments I made to Tom and our other buddy Tyler was, "Man, I'm kind of worried about the 6.5 point spread. I can't believe we're favored by a full touchdown. That bothers me." I had nothing to be worried about. The other comment I made to them was, "Look, usually I'm all about deferring to the second half. I want to get the ball to start the game because it's good on good our offense against their defense. At least I thought going into the game. I want the ball. I want to go down and score and set the tone for this game."
Okay, Matt Hasselbeck.
Nebraska defers. We get the ball, and we did anything we wanted. Go up 7-0 right off the jump. Hold them 6 plays and out. Get the ball back. We actually got stopped in the next drive, but we were moving the ball, and then the possession after that go up 14-0. Nebraska gets their 1 score, and then from there we just annihilated
turnovers and just interceptions.
That was the opposite of what you think IU football. When IU plays Nebraska, that should be 56-7 still, but for a top 15 Nebraska team. And this is not your father. This is not only not my father's IU team, this is not my IU team. And my 4-month-old daughter still does not know what an IU football loss is. So I don't know if it's her or happens to be the coaching staff, probably a little bit of both. But this is just asinine what's going on in the best way possible. I say asinine. Like going there, big noon kickoff, it's packed, everyone's screaming, F Nebraska. Obviously, they added the other 3 letters, but it was like nothing I've ever seen. And not only was it a sellout, it was a true sellout, because when we have sellouts before, it's usually against Ohio State. The stadium's packed red, but 3/4 of them are Buckeyes fans. This, I'm telling you, of the about 54,000 there, it was the 4th largest crowd in IU history. 50,000 of us were legit IU fans. I mean, there was not a Nebraska fan in sight. When we did see them, they were leaving with 10 minutes left in the game. Some people next to me telling the Nebraska Cornhuskers to sarcastically have a safe drive home, calling them effers, but not too serious. Nebraska fans, classless, yelling back in front of kids, screaming, "You MFers suck a D," just profane, graphic. So just totally embarrassing of Nebraska fan base. But I've said it for years, behind Ohio State, they're the worst fans of the Big Ten. Completely classless. Everything that they're getting right now, they completely deserve. So, yep.
They
enjoy Nebraska. Enjoy your time with Matt Rule. IU is a much better program than you are now, and it ain't just going to be this year. It might have been since 1945. IU has not won a game by 49 points in the Big Ten, because this tied the largest win in school history against Big Ten opponent. When I was looking that up, funny enough, IU also played a Nebraska team that year that wasn't in the Big Ten and beat them in Memorial Stadium by 40. So it's not the first time that IU completely deshelled Nebraska, but this is without question already 7 games in the season, the 3rd best team in IU football history, on the path to be the best team in IU football history.
So who should be ahead of them if you look at, or who should they be ahead of? Again, if you follow our social media, there were a couple people that commented that said IU should be in the top 10, because it's Iowa State at 10, and then Clemson, LSU, Tennessee, Miami make that top, from 10 to 6. And it's like, well, I don't know, but I do know that IU is a really, really good team.
Right. And you can argue, they haven't played anyone. Well, Nebraska was supposed to be that someone. We beat them by 7 touchdowns. So if you still want to make that argument, what else do you want? And other people are like, well, they haven't played anyone. They're going to go 9-3. Well, guess what? We don't play much of anyone else either, other than at Ohio State. And our schedule, they said, well, it's going to get tougher. Not really. Not really at this point. Maryland on the back half, they beat USC. USC may not be good, but they still beat LSU to start the year on a neutral field.
They think they're.
When I was in Vegas,
hey, your buddy, your boys, UCLA getting a nice win at Rutgers, who's going to win 7-8 games this year.
How about that quarterback? He's still scoring. I just got a notification.
All right, they scored again too.
Yeah.
So the schedule is not going to get all that much tougher. The biggest thing is Rourke being out, but we got one of the best backup quarterbacks in the country, and Taven Jackson. Shout out to your boy, his older brother Trace, playing for the Warriors this week. And then you have a team that has so much depth on both sides of the ball because of the transfer portal. Good luck to everyone else out there that we're going to see. And when it comes to the committee, because I believe it's next week, so a week from tomorrow, we're going to see the first CFP. Notre Dame, you better not be ahead of us because you lost to Northern Illinois, assuming IU takes care of business this weekend. If we lose to Washington, that's fine. We're out of the conversation.
Yeah.
But assuming we take care of business, we better. Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame. BYU, smoke and mirrors. Iowa State is smoke and mirrors. Clemson, they're a good football team. You still got de-shelled by Georgia to start the year. And then, man, Miami, it's only a matter of time before Miami gets knocked off. They're really fragile right now.
For now, though, they belong.
Yeah, for now. That's fine. LSU. Cool. You got some good wins. You have a horrible loss against USC, who's sub 500 team. So those are the teams I look at, and it's like, hey, if the only argument you got is IU hasn't played anyone, well, sorry, there's not much else we can do because our schedule is our schedule. If you
look at the point
want
differential.
we're killing everyone. We've trailed for exactly 0 seconds out of 420 minutes of football played. Our closest game was in a rainy, messy game, and we still won by 14, and we turned the ball over 4 times and got no turnovers. Nebraska, who was top 25 in the coaches poll, we beat by 490. Don't forget, Nebraska still beat Colorado by 3 scores, and Colorado's going to win 7-8 games this year and probably still be in the Big 12 hunt because the Big 12 is a mess. Makes me think of that 2007 season, how the Big 12 was back then, really all of college football. And really, you look up and down the top 25, top 15, top 10, top 5 even, it's getting that feeling of 2007 again. We're not there yet. The teams at the top are not as chaotic as
Practically
2007, but it's getting there. It's getting there, man.
And you throw Tennessee in there too.
So what about though?
We'll get there.
So you mentioned about how Nebraska fans, worst fan base, and they're all like, oh well, you haven't played anybody or whatever. Let's pump the brakes on Nebraska a little bit, because Nebraska fans, maybe you guys have a better memory than me when it comes to games, but the only thing I've seen Nebraska fans be able to be excited about since the 90s was their win against Colorado. And that, to me, that's just kind of pathetic. I mean, I know Colorado gets the clicks and all that, but let's be real. Like, we bash on Colorado every week. Like, we are not believers in Colorado. And what is the last meaningful win that Nebraska football has had?
Right.
Over the last 20 years,
They haven't bowled since 2016.
Oh my gosh. That's rough.
Well, they had Ndamukong Suh and they were decent, but the big time games, they always were losing to Ohio State.
Scott Frost, I think,
Wisconsin.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, no, Scott Frost, they were terrible. It was Bo Pelini was the head coach, and he got inexplicably fired, who also, Bo Pelini has one of the best Twitter handles out there. So check him out on X/Twitter. No, it was Bo Pelini led teams that were winning 8-9 games a year. They were good, but to Nebraska standards, who expect to win a national title every 5 years,
Eric Crouch,
that wasn't good enough. So they're getting what they deserve.
Tommy Maddox?
Bo Pelini.
Was that Tommy?
No, Tommy Frazier.
Tommy Frazier,
Back in 2000, I thought you were going with Tommy Armstrong, who's their quarterback.
No,
they're winning in 2013.
Yeah, Tommy Frazier.
Yeah,
that's number 15. Number 1 in your hots.
Yeah,
for Nebraska.
That's the last time I remember Nebraska being relevant. I mean, sorry, Will Compton, but you can big game Willie all you want, but they're still not relevant. You can hype up Matt Rule all you want, still not relevant. I mean, part of the reason why the Panthers suck is because they took a chance on Matt Rule. I mean, there's a lot more reasons why the Panthers suck, but
he's 2-20. He's 2-21 against top 25 teams. Don't forget that. He may have turned Temple and Baylor around, but he's still 2-21 against top 25 teams.
Ooh.
I mean, I can't say anything. My team's terrible. I mean, my team hasn't won an SEC game. They might not win an SEC game. I don't know. If they get to play Mississippi State, they might.
Yeah, I think you do.
I don't know.
I thought you do. I
looked at the schedule the other day, and I thought I saw Bama, a jobber, and Vanderbilt and Kentucky left. We played back to back
because it ain't Vandy.
Well, we play Vandy and Kentucky back to back, and I'm just like, great.
You might have a shot.
I'm gonna watch my team lose.
I know they might.
I mean, hey, Vandy. I mean, like we were saying, talking about Tennessee and Bama. I mean, here's Bama's first time in 40 years that they've lost to Vanderbilt and Tennessee in the same season.
Yeah.
Woo.
So speaking of that, then that's what I want to ask you, Miles. Is I see you're wearing the Memphis now. Well, let's talk the Tennessee and Alabama. What's your message to Alabama?
Yeah, hey, Memphis, after going to 6-1 yesterday, big win over North Texas at 5-1. Memphis Tigers see that the state of Tennessee is 2-0 against Bama. Memphis Tigers, they want Bama. They probably would beat them at this point. Hey, Memphis only lost at a very, very tough Navy team. You want to talk crap about IU not having a good schedule? Bama fans have been doing it to me online, saying, "Oh yeah, you might be ranked ahead of Bama now for the first time since 1990, but if you played our schedule, which includes Vanderbilt that they lost to, and includes South Carolina at home that they beat by 2, and they're saying that IU couldn't handle that. Cool, they'll play Memphis and go 0-3 against the state of Tennessee. Enjoy it. Roll Tide, baby. Roll Tide."
They are rolling out of the top 12. They do still have a chance to make it into the top 12 when all is said and done. But this could be where they fold. If they feel that they won't get into the top 12, they may just kind of tank, not on purpose, but the mentality of 19-year-olds knowing that they can't make a big dance. Maybe they don't try to go from blocking their assignment on to take on the linebacker as well. Maybe they just take on one block and now, or whatever. Or maybe they don't fight for extra yards. Maybe they don't hustle as much. And it's like,
that's what happens when Alabama fans start tweeting you every 5 minutes, and sending you text messages and requesting money back on Venmo and everything else. I mean, that was my fan base that did that. Actually, they asked Peyton Thorne to send it back the money they lost on their parlay. But my thing was like, who's the idiot that bet on Peyton Thorne? Like, my God, please, have you ever watched this guy play? Like, there's a reason like we have 4 freshmen awesome receivers and this guy that is terrible, because we're obviously just letting him ride it out. We're getting him out of there. I mean, enough's enough, Peyton Thorne. Thanks for coming over from Michigan State, but us Auburn fans are ready to just wave goodbye to you, buddy. You and your 120 yards a game can just go elsewhere. Okay.
Sorry, T.I. Dance with the one who brought you. Sorry.
Well, he didn't brought us anywhere. He might as well have been the Uber driver and just left us there. He pulled up and just left us. But now shout out to shout out to Tennessee. Hey, getting Bama twice in 3 years. I mean, I think they went 2-16 over the last 18 games, but they've got them twice in 2 years.
So like against Florida, yep.
So maybe this is the turning point for the Tennessee and the Alabama rivalry. I mean, maybe Alabama comes back, but I don't believe in Kalen, DeBoer or whatever. I don't know. I don't believe in him. I don't think he's the guy. I don't know. I don't
go
think
back to IU and be a coordinator. He can come back to IU after Shanahan, a Shanahan boy, the offensive coordinator at IU, gets a head coaching job. Kalen DeBoer, after you get fired from Bama, by all means, you can come back to IU and be our offensive coordinator again. That would be just fine with me.
So I want to move to NFL, but before we do, 2 things. One, I want to get to Idiot of the Week, and I want to get to this question for you guys. Oregon, Georgia, Penn State, Ohio State, Texas. Okay, those are 5 teams that I just gave. Those happen to be, if you follow Sports Idiot Nation on social media, you'll see that we posted the AP poll for week 9. So those are the 5 teams. Which of those 5 do you see in the next even 2 weeks falling way out of that top 5 discussion, and why is it Penn State?
Well, so they're just not a good team. They're just not a good team. So,
Well, yes, and actually, here it is right here. This Saturday, they play at Wisconsin, and Wisconsin, they were terrible to start, got blown out by Bama. Wisconsin's starting to turn it on. So, yes, Penn State loses at Wisconsin this weekend, and then after that, they turn around and have to host Ohio State. And after that loss to Wisconsin, I don't think Penn State beats Ohio State even at home. So I think back-to-back losses are coming Penn State's way. And as a Hoosier fan, I like it.
Yeah. There's no other – I mean, that is the right answer out of those 5, right?
Yeah, right. Because it ain't 2007 where Boston College and South Florida and Kentucky and Illinois and – I'm forgetting other schools that were part of the mayhem of Kansas, Missouri, all top 5 teams. It's not that chaotic yet this year. but
It's
we're
getting
flirting
there.
with
But
it.
yeah,
Once you have like BYU and Iowa State and my Indiana Hoosiers join the party in the top 10 in totality, as Iowa State already has, it's going to turn into that '07 mayhem. So that's the chaos we haven't seen since then, 17 years ago. But we're starting to flirt with that.
When does UT and Georgia play?
Is that 2 weeks now? It's a
That-
November game.
Yeah, that might be. That game is going to tell us a lot, but that could be that you could see Georgia fall there because I think Tennessee can beat Georgia. I mean, I think Tennessee.
I strongly disagree. I strongly disagree.
Well, the way they've been playing the past 3 weeks, I don't think they can. They've been struggling a little bit. They haven't scored any points in the first
Their
half,
offense.
but
Georgia's bipolar. They've played some bad football too, and a lot of people want to forget that now with blowing out Texas. But the game's in Athens. It's November 16th, I believe.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's tough.
A few weeks.
they still have Kentucky,
things
then
will
Mississippi
change.
State before that.
Oh God. So
So
they
they
have
get a
2
nice
bye
little tune
weeks.
up.
Nice little, yeah.
God.
And then UTEP and Vanderbilt. That's who they have after.
Well, at Vanderbilt, man, that's not a gimme at
for
Vanderbilt.
sure.
Mm-mm.
Because Tennessee's offense hasn't scored in the first half in 4 weeks now. That's a problem. That's a serious
Mhm.
problem. Georgia, we'll see what they really are, whether they're Clemson and Texas, or are they the team that struggled for a half, like not just struggled, but looked horrible for a half in Tuscaloosa, struggled against Mississippi State, didn't play that well against your Auburn boys, and Kentucky, they nearly got clipped by. So Georgia, I don't know, man. I don't know. So you might have a point that Tennessee can give them a game, but the game in Athens, the way Tennessee's offense been playing, I just don't see it.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little shell shocked from the Georgia Texas domination up front. I don't on paper it doesn't look as much as domination, but the eye test it looked like they just pretty much had.
You can't only score. You can't only score 14 points against Arkansas, who's 4-3. Like that was the big thing for Tennessee. Like, man, that's a big blemish.
Yeah. And Arkansas, I thought they were going to compete this week with LSU, and they got destroyed at home. So that looks
weird.
Real bad for Tennessee now.
That's
college football, man. It's college football.
Yeah, college football's crazy.
So weird. So what's that?
Mayday! Mayday! Cover your brains, boys and girls. Put on your tinfoil hats because this is Idiot of the Week.
All right, you idiots and sinners, as T.I. chugs his beer, it's time for Idiot of the Week. And we got a double dip of Central Florida DBs. So, in a game that Central Florida looked like they were going to pull the upset on the road against a top 10 Iowa State team who's, quite frankly, maybe not all that good. A pick six in the second quarter, housed by a one Brandon Adams, gives Central Florida the lead. In the second half, they did it again when his teammate Brandon Marshall picks it off, takes it 70 yards the opposite way, and what the hell happened? He Deshaun Jackson did and dropped the ball at the one. Now, unlike the Deshaun Jackson incident, this one actually got called out, and the fumble occurred at the 1 yard line. Now, Brandon Marshall gets bailed out by his team who recovered it, and they score a touchdown there. They go up 2 scores, so the game's over, right? He ain't the idiot of the week because everything's fine and dandy. But then we fast forward to the fourth quarter. Iowa State inevitably has a top 10 team at home, a top 10 team, but they're playing at home against a Central Florida team. They come back. Last minute of the game. Down a few points. Get down the field. Central Florida holds them to 3rd and 10. Quarterback, Rocco, pretty boy Rocco, fires to the right side of the field down at the 3. Incomplete. 4th down and 10. Nope. Here we have Brandon Adams again. After he was the one who actually housed it, picks up a horrible PI to give an automatic first down, 3-yard line. Iowa State punches it in and wins the game. Central Florida DBs, get your heads on right. You both is the idiot of the week.
That's the national champion Central Florida you're talking about, you know?
Right. Shared with Alabama, apparently, after beating your Auburn Tigers in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, the self-appointed national champions.
That was ridiculous.
I have a Central Florida National Championship T-shirt my dad got for me. True story.
That they wear in Africa. Like,
No, they weren't even
never
made.
lost.
They weren't made by mistake. They were just like, this is just self-anointed, you know?
You go on to their team site, they claim it. Absolutely.
that's hilarious.
I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, Bama claims a bunch that technically don't exist too. So I guess that's just the thing. But man,
Yeah.
how embarrassing, right? Like, it's one thing to joke about it, but it's another thing to just fully embrace it. And at this point, they're just like, if we just talk it to fruition so many years, people are just going to
It's not a
eventually
lie if you
forget.
believe it.
Yeah, they're going to
George
just
Costanza.
forget. The
Hey, but
generations
if you don't
that
like
come
it-
after are going to look up and say, "Oh, they won a national championship! Wow, I never knew that."
Hey, if you don't like it, blame yourself, though, because that's all on Auburn, who beat
know.
Bama and then lost to Central Florida. It's all because
Mhm.
of what Auburn did.
I know. It always is.
It's
it
all
always
T.I.'s
is.
fault.
It always
It was
is.
Auburn's fault.
I mean, my football team between the Titans and Auburn
Freaking-
have won 3 games. 3 total games. So,
Oh, man.
Freaking
Yeah,
Cam
get into
Newton.
NFL. Here it goes.
you know,
No, so before I want to end with NFL because there's a lot to get into. I want to talk baseball and basketball. And basketball, I think it is the most ridiculous thing ever to win a championship in which you shoot 30.6% from the field. Is that what it was, T.I.?
yeah, 30.6. I don't know. We didn't check in the end. It could have went down to about 30.2. I mean, what was it combined between both of them? They were like 3 for 46 on 3-pointers, something
Yep.
like that. And like
The Liberty
you know,
won 2 for 23.
yeah, you could just like I said, you
18%
could
from beyond the arc, and you
Steph
win.
Curry could
You could
shoot
chop-
left-handed.
you could just chop his whole arm off, and he would
He would-
still hit
He
like
with the
at least
nub.
15.
Just
He
throw
could
it up
shoot
with the
underhand.
nub.
Yeah, he could kick. Steph Curry could probably kick it in the basket more times than they made the 3-pointers. I mean, but that's another thing too. Why are you still shooting these 3-pointers? Like, it's not going, it's not falling. But you are one team is like 2 for 26, and the other team is like 1 for 19. And it's like, hey, maybe if you're a coach at that point, hey, ladies, let's back off the 3-point line. They're not going down.
Let's
Feed
get
it
it
in.
inside.
Yeah, feed it in the lane. Get a
Foot
foul.
rims.
Get some free throws. I mean, let's work on your fundamentals here because that's
Yeah,
Lower
come
the
on,
rim.
girls. It's game 7. Oh, wait, just kidding. We don't play 7 games. So
Next year.
Now,
Next
they
year
will
they do.
next year. Yep.
They changed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I can't hate
Now-
on them.
Just
And
because
this
of you.
is only going to get worse. They're expanding the league to 16 teams,
Mhm.
and they're expanding the playoffs to have 7-game format series. Unbelievable. Give me
Oh,
Canton now, God.
Yeah, the quality of play is going to go way down, I feel like. So I'll say
I like to comment on every ESPN WNBA post. I comment the same thing. I comment, if Caitlin Clark's not playing, we're not watching. And it's more of tongue in cheek thing because I'm not watching anyway. But it's just to spur that argument, you know, like
Yeah.
because let's be real,
You got
their
your finger on
ratings
the
when
pulse.
she was in there are like just through the roof, and when she's gone, it's like, yeah, you know, we got more people
Don't care.
tuning in to like some high school games that are streamed online, you know, than the WNBA championship. But,
well, it was rough for the WNBA while their game was going on, their last game of the season, because you had the Dodgers clinching and you had Devontae Adams not saving the New York Jets going on at the same time. So that was rough. The only thing I'll say for the WNBA is I can admit that there are some polarizing players that I have known for quite some time that I am happy that they technically say they have a championship. And so Breanna Stewart, I think, is a name that people remember, which I'll be honest, it's more from UConn
Yep.
that I
Good
remember
call.
her from. And then this is how much I don't know about the WNBA. I don't know how to pronounce her name. She hit the big 3 in the other game, Ioska, whatever.
Oh, Sabrina or whatever.
Sabrina, I just don't know enough. I don't know how to say her name, and it doesn't bother me at all.
Kobe Bryant's girl. That's how we know her, how close of friends they were.
I mean, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it or anything.
And I think she went to Oregon, I believe, because
Right,
I just remember the college thing. Like, she was really good. So you pair her up with Breonna Stewart, I suppose that's a pretty good basketball team. So it makes sense that they would win.
Well, they've got another one too. They said them and Vegas were the super teams apparently. So
yeah,
they have somebody else that's
Vegas has the MVP. I forget her name.
Wilson. Aisha Wilson.
Yeah, she is the best player like in the league for sure.
Yeah, she's pretty good. She put up some numbers.
No, she actually did. She's a hooper. But we are definitely not sad that the WNBA season is over. It was just
mercifully.
I kind of also like that we cannot be canceled because we are not on ESPN. Like, we wouldn't be allowed to. I feel like it would be like, you know how if you count cards in a casino, how they take you in a back room. I feel like if we worked at ESPN, they would just take us in a back room and like, you're talking bad about the WNBA. Like, nope, sorry, this is our own show. We have, just about 10,000 subscribers, and nope, we do what we want. Nap. What are you gonna do about it? So, but I mentioned what was going on during that time was we found out that the Yankees opponent will be exactly what the commissioner and the powers that be that run the networks, exactly who they wanted. Well, I'll say this. If it was going to be the Mets, that's still, hey, that's Subway Series now. So I think no matter what, it was a home run, right? But Dodgers, Yankees has not happened since when, Miles?
1981.
Go through the stats, Miles.
So it's kind of crazy. This is the 12th World Series now between the Yankees and Dodgers. Obviously, as I said, it hasn't happened in 43 years. Between 1941 and 1981, it happened 11 times. It's not only the most frequent World Series matchup of all time, it's the most frequent MLB playoff matchup of all time.
But it hasn't happened since I was born. I am 43 years old.
Yeah. Yep. That's how
just think of that.
That is.
It is the most all-time played for playoffs, even though they haven't met since I've been born.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
It shows how many fewer teams there were back then and how much limited the playoffs were back then. Because for most of those years between 41 and 81, it was just the World Series. It was the best team in the AL takes on the best team in the NL. Obviously, we've continued to have expansion since then. But even with that, with so much expansion over the last 20, 25, even 30 years. You would think
Braves, Mets, or something.
Yes. Something along those lines of Giants, Braves, or something in there. That within, you would think the NL and the AL themselves would have a more frequent postseason matchup than Dodgers Yankees that hasn't happened in 43 years.
All right. So, T.I., based on your hatred of an evil empire in any situation. If you were to say Georgia has an evil empire with college football, is how good they've been. Nick Saban in Alabama, if they've been an evil empire. I'm saying in anything, right? Whose evil empire do you want to just self-destruct more? The LA spending money Dodgers or the New York always known for spending money Yankees? Who's worse?
I'm just hoping Bane shows up and takes over the stadium, to be honest,
He was born in the darkness.
Yeah. You were only 2 years old when the Dodgers and Yankees last met. I was born into the major leagues. I was the man before,
Remember when he took over the stadium in Dark Knight? That was at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. Yes. And what's funny about that is they had half of Pittsburgh Steelers' actual team there. Heinz Ward was the guy who was running the ball back. Yeah. How weird was that?
Roethlisberger's in it too. You don't see him, but he's in it.
That was such a weird scene from Dark Knight, and how he just takes over the mic and stuff. But
so I guess the MLB front office came in and says, it doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our plan to get a Dodgers Yankees World Series. Yeah,
that's right. They were like, the fans of the other teams were like, if I don't watch this, will it be painful? It's like for you. That's my favorite part when he's like, if I take that mask off, will it hurt? And he's like, it'll be painful for you. But to answer your question, since we completely just derailed like we always do, as much as I despise the Yankees, I'm a Cardinals fan. The Dodgers, the world is a better place when the Dodgers aren't winning. So I got to go to the Dodgers. I got to go to the Dodgers evil empire because, if I'm losing to the Yankees in the World Series, at least I made it to the World Series. Dodgers are keeping me from going to the World Series. So I gotta go with them being a Cards fan.
Yeah, I do need to remind Sports Idiot Nation that my second favorite team, sometimes you have a favorite team and you have a second favorite team. My second favorite team, I just have to remind you guys, is the Yankees. As you know, my favorite team is the San Francisco Giants, and my second favorite team is whoever's playing the Los Angeles Dodgers. And so I am so excited, boys. My second favorite team is in the World Series.
Yeah.
But Yankees don't have a pitcher that can hit like that,
Well, this year he ain't either. He ain't doing it.
I know, but still, it's pretty awesome, though.
Now, let's talk about Shohei.
What was his numbers? Yeah, what were the numbers you said?
Okay, so this is what I saw. I'll be honest, I don't even know if this is right. We are Sports Idiot Nation, so we are not known for breaking news to be factual, exactly correct, unless it's Miles and IU, because then he's autistic. But I think that Shohei Ohtani was 18 for his last 22 with runners and scoring in position. I do know that he did. I do know this for a fact. He in this series, he reached base 17 times.
It's insane.
What?
It's insane.
Or I think that's for the playoffs. But still, it doesn't matter. That's like your Barry Bonds type numbers where you're like, okay, that's a video game.
Shohei wasn't even a bet on himself to do that.
There you go. That is seriously, and he's not even. What's crazy is I feel like you look at the at-bats by other people, he's not even the guy that's doing all the damage. It's these other guys, and then you look at the Yankees and you might say the same thing. It's Soto. It's not Aaron Judge. And then all of a sudden Aaron Judge does hit one in the sixth inning or whatever. And then it's like Giancarlo Stanton. I still call him Mike Stanton just to make him upset. He's like, don't call me Mike Stanton. I'm Giancarlo. Mike.
Do you text
Mike
him?
Stanton, he hits one out.
You text him a lot? Send him that?
I'm like, hey, Mike. Yeah, Mike.
He's like, don't call me that, Adam.
Yeah, that is the weirdest thing. Like, he actually said, he doesn't want to be called Mike. Well, that's what you were called for 20 years of your life. I don't know what to tell you. But
you just you go to college, you find yourself, you're no longer Andrew anymore. You're Drew. You just want to kind of change yourself.
You're no longer Austin.
No, that's one of my good buddies did that. True. His name was Andrew, but now he's Drew. Going by Drew. Well, Miles knows him. Miles met him. Yeah.
Yep.
So it will be. I will say, just as a fan of baseball, I will admit that the best matchup truly is Dodgers Yankees, and I will watch. I'm excited to see the matchups. I want to see Soto and those guys, go against Walker Buehler. I do want to see the Yankees, the former Giant Carlos Rondon pitch against these guys. It'll be really cool to see. I'm sure they're going to overhype it as they should, and that'll be annoying. But I am excited. Starts Friday, so a couple days.
That's what I was going to ask. When is? I know that Dodgers
Friday night
closed it out yesterday, and the other series was closed out. What?
Yeah,
day prior, I think.
So what's cool is that means everyone has pretty good rest, and we'll get the legit. I hate when I know it's how it goes, but if let's say David Wells and David Cohn were your number 1 and number 2, and Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling were the number 2, 1 and 2 for the other guys, but one team ended later and in a game 7 had to pitch David Cone, and now he wouldn't be ready. I always felt like, that's not pure. Like, I almost want, and I know that's, hey, you should have closed out earlier or whatever, but I remember just when those situations would happen that it would just irk me just enough. I was that big of a baseball nerd about it. But now, no matter what happened, that even if it would have went to game 7, I feel like you would have had enough time to, if they're going to start on Friday. So everyone will be even strength. Everyone will be ready to go. Everyone will be, even. So that's good.
And
But
everybody
yeah,
loves a nice big sporting event on a Friday night. I mean, that's
Friday
way to
night.
kick it off. I mean, that's fantastic.
So kicking off then actually tomorrow is maybe the final season. We were talking about this, the final season on TNT inside the NBA. They might be throwing boatloads of money at these dudes. I'm more interested sometimes in inside the NBA than Rockets Nuggets or like whatever.
Yeah,
I kind of want to
Damn
see what
game.
Kenny Smith says, or
Yeah,
like who makes it to the wall first.
well,
runs over there.
Shaq and Chuck are great together as well.
Dude,
Oh yeah,
love it.
And they want to pretend like they have beef and stuff, but that they're
they're like best friends.
Yeah, WWFing it up, like
They are,
good
and they
guy,
admit
bad
that.
guy. Oh yeah,
By now they admit it. So we got
they weren't
Knicks,
born
Celtics.
to play basketball. They were born to do commentary.
Right. Yeah. So Knicks Celtics opens the season, and then Timberwolves Lakers, and I will admit, especially after Bronny finally looked like halfway like an NBA player when he dropped like 17 points after going like 1 for 7 in 3 straight games. Finally had quote unquote a breakout game. Nothing like Dalton Connected from Tennessee.
Snoop called
He
him
dropped like
West
30.
Side Connect.
West Side Connect. That's dope.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
So now that Bronny had that game, it kind of makes it like, okay, maybe let's see. And again, we've talked about this. Like, it will be super cool the first time that LeBron and his son are on the court at the same time together. Like, that is just so weird. And I don't know. You talk about,
It's going to have to be a blowout. I mean,
I would think
they're not just throwing him in the starting lineup.
Bro, JJ Redick, we can all assume is a puppet. And if he is just told, hey, you got to play him, then he's not the one to be like, well, I'm JJ Redick and I've been coaching for 97 seconds.
For 0 minutes.
I mean, it's a little different than Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr started coaching out of nowhere, but it was a little different. He had like GM experience. He had USA basketball experience, like some different things going on. JJ Redick was not even like, I heard he didn't even have a fantasy team. He wasn't even coach of his own fantasy team. He doesn't know anything about, I mean, this dude.
Can him. Didn't play fantasy basketball?
He's a puppet. He's a
You're outta
puppet.
here.
So they're just they have him on strings.
That was like
JJ.
when Maryland famously chanted the FUJJ. Yeah, if he doesn't play,
Dude,
Bronny,
the
he's gonna
ACC
get
was
that
rough
again.
to JJ Redick. They did not like him.
I mean, he's the white boy from Duke. Like, they don't.
He was
like
a cold-blooded killer,
You
though,
know?
bro.
No, he
Yes, he
was.
was.
He's a great player. But I mean, it's just you've probably seen the 30 for 30 on Christian Leitner. You've probably seen that.
Epic.
I mean,
great.
And Christian Leitner, he was just playing the role, dude. Like, he was like, okay, you want me to be this villain guy? I'll
like,
be
fine,
that guy.
I will be good. He's like a great guy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so it really makes me wonder sometimes about these Duke players that come out, because I know the one kid, guy, he's always tripping people and stuff. He played for the Grizzlies for a while. He was a great player.
Grayson Allen.
Yeah, I mean,
He still plays. He plays.
He's with the Bucks, I think. But I mean,
He's
a
hurt.
great player, and he's
with the Suns now.
Oh, he got traded. That's right. Well, once he finally stopped all the antics, he's a great player. But it's again, it's like, was he playing into that mantra, or was he just being a dirty player? I just don't know.
Yeah. No,
There's-
he is
there's-
kind of dirty.
Well, I know there is, but it just seems like
There's enough
always
praise.
Kinda.
But
there's always some kind of little kind of negative quip about the Duke players, and I don't know. I used to think it just extends from the rivalry of North Carolina, but it's deeper than that. And after watching that Leitner documentary and stuff, I was like, okay, there's something going on with Duke. Like they create this animosity to use.
what's
on
cool
the court.
is it's not slowing down anytime soon because book it right now. Cooper Flag, 6'9", incoming freshman, dropped like
He
they
looked good.
won this exhibition by like 50 points. He had 8 assists. The entire team that they played against had like 6. He had like 22 points, played only half the game, completely dominated. He's the guy that for Team USA, he was dunking on like Giannis and like maybe not. It wasn't Giannis. Who were some of the people that didn't actually make the final roster for Team USA? I just remember it was documented. Like they brought in some of these like prospects, and Cooper Flag at 6'9" was brought in, and he was like hooping. And Steph
He was
Curry,
dope.
he hit a shot on Steph Curry, and like it was a big thing. Well, now it's the season's getting rolling, and Duke has one of those guys, Cooper Flag. We might have a segment of like a flag watch, like check in on Cooper Flag, like because he
He's
is
that
that dude. It seems like so.
Yeah. The highlights I saw the other night, he was killing it.
Dude, he was. So okay, so we'll talk more about NBA. We've talked about the teams that we're kind of also checking out. Besides, you guys have the team there in Tennessee. I have the Warriors, but we're also checking out. I know, what is it? Let's state that again. The Orlando Magic, the Dallas Mavericks, and the New York Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always checking in
The New
with
York
those
Knicks.
teams. So
The
they
Knickerbockers.
play. We'll see how
The
they do against
Knickerbockers.
Boston tomorrow.
Yeah.
They open the season.
Well-
a lot of new faces in different places.
Yeah, I don't expect them to be clicking off the jump against Boston. Maybe, but it's just anytime you rearrange the nucleus like that, it takes at least 10 games.
Yeah.
I feel in the NBA it does.
In the
I mean,
preseason, they have looked decent. So we'll see. The Golden State was undefeated in the preseason, as were the Tennessee Titans, which brings us to perfectly. Will Levis luckily didn't screw anything up.
Titans fan will still put the blame on him,
on mayonnaise,
even though he didn't play.
But what's funny is this whole mayonnaise thing with Will Levis is taking more, like, I know as Tennessee Titan fans, like, you guys can talk about that like it's your thing, but it's become like a viral thing, like for the negative, because he sucks so bad. They're like, why are they talking about mayonnaise with him? He sucks. Like, it's funny how that kind of goes, where you guys have known about this mayonnaise thing for a while. It's just funny to see the Titans find different ways to lose. They started off, I sent you the before and after, like in the beginning of the game when Josh Allen was sleeping. I think the quarterback rating was like this, and then it kind of flipped on its head.
I mean, Callahan's play calling though is just atrocious. I mean, I'm not single-handedly blaming him, but I mean, I just feel like the moment that he got stuffed and was like, okay, well, I'm going to go for it on the 40, on our own 40 here, when we're down by 3 and there's plenty of time left. And not only do you choose to go when it was an inopportune time, you run the same play. You literally ran the same play back-to-back times. Were you thinking like, oh, they're not going to get this. They think we're passing for sure. I'm just like, not only did you choose a bonehead time to go for it, you ran the same play, the exact same play with the same person on the same side and had the same results. And from that moment on, Buffalo just foot on the throat, man. And I just feel like
It's a Madden move right there.
Yeah, dude. I was just like, bro, this is you're talking to your buddy like, oh, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna show you. Like, I don't know. I know he's a rookie head coach. I'm giving him his benefit of the doubt, and I know he needs time. But that when I see stuff like that, it really makes me question the bigger picture. It makes me question, like, okay, well, what about when it really matters? What about like when this game really counts? It really matters. It's down to the wire. We have to go for it. are you going to punt it? Because you're going for it on terrible, terrible times when you shouldn't. In the time that you should go for it, are you going to be punting it? I mean, that's the whole Mike Vrabel thing again. Like, Vrabel was like always willing to gamble, but in the wrong times. And I'm just like, great, is that what we're doing now? And I know there are a lot more problems than just that moment, but I feel like that was the moment that it got away from the Titans because they were in it. I mean, they were controlling it. They had some momentum. And then Callahan did that.
Dominated every category.
And it obviously wasn't just me because I made a post about it and everybody was like, yeah, what in the absolute hell was that call? Like, why? I mean, I'm just and then right before halftime too, I'm just like, Titans are like going down there and running circus moves and laterals and all this. And I'm just like, guys, you're doing just fine. Like, there's no reason to do this. You're going to give the ball to Buffalo and they're going to run it back for a touchdown right before halftime because you're trying to do all this dumb lateral stuff. So it just really makes me wonder, like, and I don't know if that was Calvin Ridley on the fly, like improvising or what, but he looked like he had a seam and then all of a sudden he turns around and sees Hopkins standing there and is like, here, you take it. And then Hopkins is passing it across the field. And I was just like, it is halftime. It's not the end of the game. What is going on? Why are we doing this?
Heads are falling off.
Yeah.
Ti, it's going to be all right. At least we just get to play at Detroit next week.
Yeah, we got this.
No big deal.
We got this.
By the way,
just knocked off the Vikings. Yeah.
Almost screwed the pooch, though, in Dan Campbell fashion. I was texting you guys. He's like going for fake punts. He's like, I'm like, dude, you can't, this isn't Madden. You cannot play this way. It's going to come back to, oh, you won. Oh, well, okay. Do you, bro. Now, here's what I want to say about the NFC North. We have to get into that. The Detroit Lions, they were playing the Minnesota Vikings. We have documented on this show that Minnesota's defense is legit, and Brian Flores puts you in situations that you don't see coming. And we've told you on this show that Jared Goff was a perfect, 21 of 21 on Monday Night Football just a couple weeks ago. At the end of the game, I think he was 21 for 23 against the Minnesota Vikings and that defense. Mm-hmm. And it's like, this is a little crazy. And no Aiden Hutchinson, obviously, for a while.
He puts up some numbers. I've had him as my backup a couple times in fantasy and had to start him a few times because injuries. And, man, he puts up some numbers.
That's 22 to 25 on the day, almost 300 yards, a couple of tutties, no picks, dude. Man. That quarterback rating.
Jared Goff.
I mean, I know the Rams got I was going to say, I know the Rams got a Super Bowl out of the deal, but I don't know, man. They may question that decision. Maybe the Super Bowl is worth more in their future, but I don't know.
Man, they look crazy how that ended up. But the NFC North, let's look at the Packers. That was a wild game.
Yeah, they were
5 or 6 lead changes.
Yeah, Jair Alexander and Stephon Diggs were going at it before the game even started.
Well, Diggs was going at it with the entire team. And afterwards, they interviewed him, and he's like, he goes, I love it. He goes, I'm never going to be the bigger person. I'm always going to be petty. Like,
that's honest.
Him. Okay, I guess if you're going to be honest.
That's like another reason why he's on his third team, but
yeah, like you don't want to hear that if you're the Texans, like So the Packers won. The Bears did not lose, however, they did not play. And then obviously the Vikings lost, but they were the only team in their conference that was undefeated. So like their loss doesn't really matter. But it's
they lost I think they lost the top spot to the Lions, though. I think the Lions.
Right.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying
in terms
in the
of
win-loss.
Good. Like,
in terms of the conference.
Good.
Gotcha.
So you have the Packers. The Packers won. The Bears didn't lose. So like your
someone
win-loss.
had to lose.
Someone had to lose because they played each other. But other than that, their division stayed as good as it could have.
Yes,
is what I'm saying.
So what is it, seven losses between the divisions? So what? Bears have 2, Vikings have 1, Packers have 2, the Lions have 2.
1, so that's 6. That's only 6.
That's only 6, dude. That's nuts.
So the Lions only have one loss? I thought they had two.
Correct. Lost at home to the Bucks.
Oh yeah. Was it?
And that's
Oakland?
it.
Yeah. Wow.
And they could have won that game. But
and they were Lions were so close last year in the Super Bowl, so close. We know how that worked out.
Yep. Speaking of how that worked out,
Eminem got a little too excited and it all
thought he
fell.
was somebody.
That's why you can't do that. You cannot do that. You have to wait. You can't do that at halftime. You can't do
The
that.
full 60 minutes.
What the hell's happening in Santa Clara, man? What the hell's going on, dude?
The 49ers have not put together 60 minutes of football since 2014 when they play the Chefs. And great googly moogly. I don't understand it. Like, at some point, you have to break through, but it's just not going to be this year. And I don't know when it's going to be, but our team is going to be decimated in a different ball club the next time we face Kansas City, because Brandon Ayuk has his ACL is done. I don't know.
He tore his ACL today? I knew he got hurt. I didn't know that it's a torn ACL though.
Yeah, dude.
I saw he went down, but I didn't see the aftermath of it. Oh wow, that sucks. And Debo was hurt too.
Debo has like COVID or something. He was like sick. I don't know. He should be back. CMC hopefully plays this year. Dre Greenlaw hopefully plays this year.
Yeah, they said Ricky Paracel got shot in the chest, came back before C-Mac.
And he had like 3 or 4 catches. Like, shout out to Ricky Pearsall. Dude, that is a cool story. Like, get shot, come back, have a couple catches against the Chiefs. That's cool.
Flash your watch around, hey.
Write him in for president. Yeah, just write him in for president.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ricky Pearsall, man of the people, get shot and then have 4 catches for 32 yards. Like, most okay game ever. But he's a rookie. And Jacob Cowing, another rookie, had a very long catch. But yeah.
What's the story on Daniels' rib injury? Jaden Daniels. I saw he got hurt. Does it look serious or is it just.
No, his mom tweeted.
Oh, he's a rookie.
Everything's fine. They were up, you realize, like 30-0.
Oh, yeah.
So like he came out and was like running for president. He was like in street clothes. He was like came out in the second half.
Him and Ricky Pearsall are running against each other. I got it.
I just think the kid's having such a good season. I would just hate to see him not finish it.
And he's going to be fine. If it was the Super Bowl and they were down a touchdown, he would be going in, diving for the first down, John Elway helicopter. He would be doing all that if he needed to.
I hope he gets a fair shot. I know that they want to anoint Caleb Williams because he's the first pick and all this, and he's playing good. I'm not saying he isn't, but I hope he gets a fair shot at Rookie of the Year, and they don't try to just pigeonhole Caleb Williams in.
Well, there's a long way to go, to be honest. I think.
Yeah, but it's clearly his to lose if it's fair. If it's it's fair across the board, it's his to lose.
Well, it's not fair across the board. We kind of know that in sports that it kind of goes that way. But
there's a love affair with him right now. I mean, he's popular.
If they win the division and his numbers truly are better than Caleb Williams, I think even if the fix is in for Caleb, like we kind of say, I still think he does have a chance. But if it's close, then I feel like they gave it to Caleb because he's their guy, the face that they want to make, number 1 pick and all that. But there's enough time still. I mean, Caleb Williams could get hurt in the next month and be done for the season. You never know.
I mean, technically they are in last place in their division. Even though they're good, they're still technically in last place,
Well, that you guys know that feeling very well.
Except we're not good. We're not a good team in last place. So.
The entire division. So let me get this straight. Are you guys 1-6?
We're 1-5. We had a bye.
Oh, 1-6 will be next week. So you will have 6 losses next week. And that's the amount of losses that the entire division.
We have moved on to Project 12-5. We're on Project 12-5 now. I saw
your social media, Mr. 31,000. I saw.
Yeah, it changes we have a different initiative each week depending on how well we play. And right now we're on initiative 12-5.
Again, you got to follow
2-15. Yeah,
you got to follow all of us on social media, not just Sports Idiot Nation, because I like to troll T.I. because here's what T.I. will do, which is great, and it's probably how he's gotten a lot of followers. But like ESPN will post something like Patriots versus Jaguars this Sunday morning. And then TI will just post, Titans Idiot Nation will say, loser cannot come home. Or something like that. And then I will troll TI and say, no, loser has to watch the Titans game on the airplane back.
Ha ha.
Just to troll.
Adam came up with that himself too.
I love it. Gotta have it. But follow us, the collective, at Sports Idiot Nation on all social media, wherever you get your social media. Remember, episodes come out every Monday and Thursday. We're talking a little NFL. I mean, there isn't much else besides the NFC North, and it was the rematch of the Super Bowl. Other than that, I mean,
yeah, we do have a great game tonight, though. We do have
we have two, and it's the very first game on
but
ESPN Plus.
Yeah, I mean, but the Bucks,
whatever that means,
the Bucks and Ravens is the one that we want to watch. I mean,
right.
What's the other one? Chargers and Cardinals? Is it?
Yeah.
Who's got it better than them?
I mean, why?
Nobody.
There's a reason why that's on the first
ESPN
one on
Plus
NFL,
or
ESPN Plus or whatever.
What in the world?
Dude, ESPN Plus is the biggest scam. I got rid of cable years ago, and I was like, oh, ESPN Plus, I'll check this out. And I'm like, oh, I'll be able to watch Auburn games and all this. Nope. You know what you get? You get like Louisiana Monroe versus like Aztec University. All the schools I've never heard of in my entire life.
And not even San Diego State, just
maybe San Jose State. I used to live like 11 minutes from there.
You might get a random baseball game. You might get a random hockey game, and it's just like
the
ESPN
like
Plus.
Savannah Bananas, man. That's on ESPN Plus. Cool. Bananas, baby.
Are they on ESPN Plus?
Yes, they are.
Dude, we should go to a game.
Animals.
They're hard. They're really hard to get tickets, man. You have to be on a waiting list. My wife has been trying. They're coming to Nissan Stadium, and we'll be playing, I think, on my birthday. And we were talking about trying to get tickets, and she's like, unless we're going to buy scalp tickets and pay tons of money, you just have to get lucky in the lottery.
You only have one birthday a year. Can't you scalp and just go big?
Well, Metallica's playing too. I kind of want to go to that show at Nissan Stadium, dude. I know that's a tough. They're doing a 2-day thing, and they've got some big name bands. It's like they've got some big name bands coming through, and it's a big deal. Going to be outdoors at Nissan, and I don't know, man. Metallica was the first concert I ever went to by myself, so kind of has a special place in my heart. So I kind of want to go to that game at Nissan, but you
didn't have any friends or what?
Do what? What are you talking about?
First concert you went to by yourself. I don't go to concerts by myself
without parents, dude. I was 14. I was 14. My stepdad dropped me and my buddies off, and I actually talk about it in that episode I did with Toomey on the Toomey podcast. I actually talk about it, but yeah, we'll have a show where we talk about some music and concerts we went to. But that whole experience is a phenomenal experience. Like, we camped out for tickets at the mall. We had to hide from security. We had these dudes buy us beers at the concert. It was great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I had hair down to here. I thought I was so cool. I was headbanging, drinking my Coors Light. I'm sure it was Coors Light. I don't know what. Probably, there was no IPAs then. There might have been out west, but there wasn't no IPAs in Nashville in 1994.
Right. That's funny. Yeah. So tonight, couple games. I don't know if we'll watch both. Probably be fixated on one. I do want to see the Cardinals lose. Just being in the NFC West, I need all the help I can freaking get. We play the 49ers play the Cowboys next. I'm sure the memes will be coming in soon, Cowboy fans. But so as we look ahead to next week, for what are I'm trying to make sure there's nothing else big. We got World Series Friday, NBA starting this week. Any big, like, number one versus number two for college football?
We've got a lot of ranked matchups.
I think A&M plays LSU, and I think that's the biggest game. I mean, hell, IU and Washington got college game day, so nothing too
Clemson.
I think. I think your A&M hosting LSU is this week.
You know what a big game is? Number 25 Navy hosting Notre Dame.
Yeah, shockingly.
Just saying.
Playoff implications for sure.
Alabama and Missouri, Oregon and Illinois. That's Illinois is ranked because they beat Michigan.
And they also beat Nebraska in overtime. Cute,
yeah. And yeah, you're right. That's about it. Michigan plays little brother. Texas A&M and LSU. You mentioned.
We all find collective solace in watching Will Compton and Taylor Lewan's teams lose.
Yeah. So
I don't know why we do, but we all do. I don't know why. And not just us three. It's like all across the board.
Well, when they say stupid stuff, I mean, it's like, I get that you went to that school, Will, but like it just doesn't make sense to keep like hammering down on that. So we will continue to hammer down as we always do on Sports Idiot Nation. Remember, new episodes come out every Monday and Thursday. So we will see you this Thursday. Okay, all you sinners, follow Sports Idiot Nation on TikTok, X, and Instagram. Like us on Facebook, and remember, the most fun way to watch us is on YouTube every Monday and Thursday. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you can be updated when new content drops. Remember, the podcast can also be found on the usual suspects of Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Always remember, don't be an idiot.
sinner.